Look at that. Come on, we got a bite. Well, as you can probably tell, I'm absolutely buzzing after having that fish. That was so much fun catching on those rods. The fish feels about £25. Hey, go on. God, look at the bubbles coming up over there. Look at the bend in that rod. Oh, hello. Welcome to a new video. We are back on the bank and you join me doing a very short session. I've just finished work and I've come up to a local day ticket water to where I was working. It's not local to me at all. It's about an hour away from home. It's just in Bridgwater. This is a place called Trinity Waters. Now I fished it once or twice back in the day, did a little bit of winter fishing on there. It's got a reasonable head of fish, but I'm actually doing something a little bit different. Today I've dusted off some of the old rods and reels, my old school gear from back in the day. Actually my dad's old school gear really, because it was a hand-me-down. It was actually in his shed and I've got him to drop it off. I've dusted it off and come out to have a little bit of a go with it. So we're going to see if we can catch a fish on the rods that I used to use or learnt to carp fish with. So a little bit different. Got old bite alarms, old rods, old reels. All the carp kick kit and all that sort of thing is all new and modern, because obviously the stuff we used to use back in the day was terrible. But yeah, we're going to see if we can catch a fish. The goal was to catch at least one fish, one carp, on the old school gear. So a bit like going back in time. It's going to be pretty cool, but I haven't got long. I've only got a few hours, so let's get some rods out and see if we can have one. Right, so I think I've decided on swim 16. There's quite a lot of bubbling and there's been quite a bit of movement down this end, so I think there's probably a few fish knocking about. Now I've got this swim 16 and I've also got next to it 17, so I could either fish sort of out right and left. So there's a lot of movement. Now there's a nice little gap in the bank over there, which I think might make for a good spot for one of the rods, and I think the other one I might just fish sort of close along the bank. There's a bit of bubbling going out here. I might just sort of fish out in front of me, but I think I'm definitely going to put a rod up along there. It does look quite good. So I've got a bit of bait and I'm going to just walk around and drop a bit in along that gap, and then after there's a fish bubbling out right there. That's probably going to have a rod on it, I reckon. But I'm going to put a little bit of bait around there for starters, see if we can get them grubbing about. Not going to put too much in, just a little sprinkle, enough for a bite basically. In true fashion, I haven't got any rigs pre-tied, because back in the day that's what it was like. So I've got some 15 pound Barkley big game, as that's what I used to use, and then I've got my little terminal box here with my bits and bobs in. Now I didn't have any sort of old hooks and stuff. I used to use like Super Specialist, but I had a little dig around, I couldn't find any. This is a bit of a last minute idea, so I am going to use some modern hooks, but I'm going to fish straight mono hook lengths, which is what I used to use back in the day. Right, so I'm literally going to do a simple knotless knot, nice and simple, straight back through, job done. Right, so that is basically the rig, just a simple knotless knot. This is also what you had to do back in the day, was you used to have to take the rod out of the rod bag and thread all the line through. So I thought it was only traditional to do this and try and do things like it was back in the day. So we're literally going to thread in line onto main line. Right, swivel goes into the lead. We didn't have any anti-tangle stuff really back then, tubing or anything. I suppose you had a bit of silicone back in the day, but not a huge amount. But I'm going to use not a really short hook length, but quite a short hook length, because that is what used to be the rage with it inline. Used to fish them straight off the lead as well. Knotless knot, barbless size 5, little mesh bag, and that is going to be the rig. Right, I've got to cut in there. I'm sure you've noticed it as well. How many times am I saying back in the day? It seems every sentence I'm finishing it off with back in the day. It's absolutely driving me nuts. I was literally just doing the edit and I was just, how many times am I saying it? But I've stopped to have a coffee, and now that I've got your attention, I thought I'd just say, please subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the social media, shown at the bottom of the screen now. What a brilliant little plug that was. But anyway, yeah, I'm saying it way too much. I'm sure you've noticed it. I'm sure I'm going to get it in the comments. But anyway, yes, let's go back to the video, back in the day. Now obviously I'm using a modern net. I've got a modern unhooking mat and everything, because fish gear is obviously a priority. No idea how this is going to go. Right, back line. Still like that. Okay. Come on. Oh, that is absolutely banging. That's actually gone out there. My level's terrible. Right, so I've got one of the rods out then, just fishing across to the far margin, but before I put this rod out into a bit of open water, I thought I'd talk you a little bit through the kit I'm using. So obviously it's a bit of an old school session, just for a couple of hours. I thought I'd try and get a bend in these old rods. Now these are what I used to use, these I actually learned to fish with, or carp fish with, probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. And would you believe I used to use these up at linear fisheries on Oxleys. Oxleys was nothing like it is now back then. The biggest fish now was, I think, probably 23, 24 pound. Loads of low doubles when they finally stocked it. If you caught a 20 pounder, it was a big fish, especially when you caught it on this sort of setup. So these are fiberglass rods. My dad actually built these, so he bought the blanks, put the cork on them, put the rings on them, and actually built them in his teens. This is what he used to use. Back then obviously kit was really expensive, and if you could make kit and put it all together yourself, it would save you quite a lot of money, whereas nowadays kit is so much more affordable because it's more popular, you don't need to do that sort of thing. But yeah, he actually built these from scratch. The reel is a Mitchell 300. I got a pair of those today, and these are actually the reels I used to use back then as well. So this is literally the combo that I used to use. Now they are matching, although they are slightly different. Obviously where they've been built by my dad, the cork on one of the rods is slightly longer than the other, and also one is brown and one is green. So they've had a little bit of wear and tear over the years. They're about £1.75, probably more like £1.50, I would have thought nowadays. But it's going to be good fun if we can get a fish on them. Now I've got them loaded up with some fresh line. I've got some 16 pound line on there, or 15 pound, and I'm using a 15 pound Barkley Big Game mono hook length, because that's pretty much what I used to use back in the day. Just straight knotless knotted onto a wide gape hook. I'm using it inline because I used to use inlines a lot back then, as they were nice and simple and they were kind of all the rage back then. So that's what I'm using. I've got a slightly longer hook length on this one because it is a little bit silty, but I've got a slightly shorter hook length on the rod that's already out there, and I'm going to just nick a little mesh bag onto these and just flick that out with them, just to add a little bit of attraction around the hook bait, because it would be nice to actually get a bite. But anyway, I'm going to put this rod out and let's see if we can actually get a bite. I've left the mesh bag over there. Cool. Right, they're fishing. Look at that! Come on, we got a bite! Oh my god, I can't believe it. Oh dear. Oh, what's going on? Oh, it's come off. Oh dear. Oh, what a disaster that was. Well, that's what happens when you try and film the bite. Instead of just picking a rod up with a barbless hook, they drop off. I literally got it so tight last time, but I doubt I'm going to do that again. Let's give it another go. Oh, no, we're in there. Absolutely magic. Right then, so we've managed to have a bite. Unfortunately, I dropped it off. So I was trying to get the bite on camera because essentially Mitchell 300s have got terrible drags, and we always used to fish them on backwind. And so I really wanted to get a video of a take on camera. So when the rod went off, I managed to get the GoPro on and was basically spending a bit of time trying to get a bit of footage of it. I finally picked the rod up, forgot that I'd had the drag too loose, so a load of line got taken off if I lifted into it, gave the fish a load of slack, and obviously it's a barbless hook, the fish fell off. So that was a disaster. But on the plus side, I've had a bite and it was cool to try and get a bit of footage of it, so hopefully it come out all right. That was on the right hand rod, fished over to this other bank up along the tree line, so I've topped it up with a little bit more bait. I've also now put a handful of bait over the left hand rod, which was sort of just out in front of me into a bit of open water. I'm getting a couple of liners here and there, so I think there's some fish in the zone, so I think there is a chance of getting another fish. Now I've got about 2 hours fishing, I reckon. That bite come within about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of the rod's being out there, so I've got a good bit of time to try and get another one, and I think we can do it. So it's going to be cool to try and get one on these rods. But I also just wanted to mention quickly a quick shout out to a subscriber. So a guy called Matt, I think he said he was from Peterborough. He just drove past. He was actually going over onto the Specimen Lake Chandos, and he recognised the van, then recognised the hat and thought that looks like Shaun. So he jumped out to say hello, and yeah, had a bit of a chat. He likes the channel, so thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for following and subscribing. And I thought I'd give him a little bit of a shout out to say thanks for following us. He's going over onto the Specimen Lake, so I hope you managed one, mate. If you did, let us know how you got on in the comments below. Be nice to see if you did have one. But anyway, I'm going to I think I'm going to put out a few more baits actually onto this rod, because I'm getting a few liners. There seems to be a few fish about, so I'm going to top the spot up a little bit, and let's see if we can make something happen. Hey, go on! Oh, look at the bubbles coming up over there. Oh, that is cool. Look at the bend in that rod. Oh, happy days. Hopefully you can see this alright. So, the rod over by the tree has gone off. I thought it might. Oh, has he picked up that rod? How has he picked that rod up? Surely not. Yeah, that is wicked. Oh dear. Oh, this is going to be interesting. God, the silvers down there. Hey! Good caught, Jesus. Oh no, he's going to try and get around the back of there. Have to give it some more stick. Wicked fun. I mean, the fish feels about £25, but it's probably about 6. Oh, wicked. Doesn't actually look too bad. Look at the bend in that rod. Oh dear. What's good though is it's so soft. It's literally just absorbing all the lunges. That's quite a nice fish. Look at it bend. Oh dear. Oh, no. That's too much to ask that then. Oh, he's gone on another run now. Come on. Come on. Jeez. The right hand rod went off again after that first one that I lost. I've gone and had this wicked upper double. It's gone £21 with the mat, so it's going to be just shy of £20 I reckon. Absolute wicked result. £1.75 fiberglass rods, Mitchell 300. It was a wicked fight. Unfortunately the battery on the GoPro ran out towards the end, but it was an absolute mental fight. And yeah, what a wicked little result. I'm well happy with that. Anyway, let's sip it back. I've got a little bit left, so we might have time for another one. Happy days. Right, I've just re-rigged that rod then. Fresh little bag, 2 fresh, straight out the bag baits on the old mono rig. Let's flick it back out. See if we can get another one. I think we got maybe, I don't know, half an hour maybe. I don't actually know what the time is, to be honest. Oh, that's a cast. You might notice I haven't got old school bobbins. That's because I couldn't really find anything that would actually be usable. So I've just got some Pro Logic bobbins, because obviously I've got a few of those knocking around. But I've done red and green, and the alarm ears are orange, and the LEDs are white and green. So everything's mismatched, which I thought was quite old school, because back in the day nothing ever used to match properly. So the reels are slightly different. The rods, although the same blanks, are slightly different. Indicators are slightly different. Everything's basically slightly different, which back in the day is pretty much what it used to be like. So anyway, it's not looking too bad at the moment. I think we've got the chance for another one. And what I'm doing, just on the bait front, obviously I just got a little bit of an area just in the back of the van here. I haven't even got anything out. I haven't needed to. I've just left it in the back. And all I'm doing is trickling a few 12mm bug. So I've had 2 bites from in that gap over there towards where that duck is. But I'm also firing some baits up along that bank up along there, just off the tree line, which is where I've moved the left hand rod to, because there's been a couple of fish showing over that way. There's not been anything really close in. When I first got here, there's quite a lot of bubbling close in along this bank, but I don't know if it's the noise of me being here. It sort of pushed some fish off, but There's definitely been fish sort of along this bank. Right, well, as you can probably tell, I'm absolutely buzzing after having that fish. That was so much fun catching them on those rods. They literally bend all the way through to the cork, and with the little Mitchell 300 trying to put up with a strain, it was quite entertaining. But I really enjoyed it. It was definitely worth giving a go, and I'm probably going to end up taking them out to a couple of other small venues and having a bit of fun with them, because it is very enjoyable, and it really does take me back to when I was younger and first starting out trying to catch fish. But yeah, if you've got your own kit sort of stashed away in the shed, in the garage or in the loft that you used to use back in the day, I highly recommend dusting it off, getting it out and taking it out and having a go with it, 'cause it is wicked fun, and it really takes you back to sort of when you first started out fishing for carp. So anyway, back to the fishing. I've put a little bit more bait in, so obviously the fish have come off of this spot here. I've had the 2 bites from here, but I've also been trickling a little bit of bait all along this sort of bank, and the left hand rod is sort of up this way somewhere, and there's been the odd fish sort of head and shouldering out there. There's definitely a few fish in the zone, so I've just been trickling in the 12mm and 8mm bug, little and often, just to try and get those fish rooting around. And I'm getting quite a few liners at the moment, so I think there's definitely a chance of getting another one. So let's hope the rod goes rattling off again and we can have another fish, just to really sort of cap off a pretty cool little session. But I've got about maybe 45 minutes I think to go until I've got to be off the lake, so plenty of time to get another bite. So fingers crossed we can have another one. Right, it's been a wicked couple of hours fishing. I've really enjoyed getting out and using the old school gear. It really has been cool, and it's been so nice to be able to just fish out the back of the van. It has been so easy on such a short session. But I've only got about 10 minutes or so until officially they're going to close the gate. So I'm probably going to end up reeling the rods in a second, and I am getting a few liners. There's probably a chance I will probably have a bite if I was going to stay here until dark, but officially you've got to be off just before it's getting dark, so a little bit frustrating in that sense. But at the end of the day, I've had a couple of bites, managed to catch one. It was a nice common, and yeah, it's put a bend in the old gear. So it's been really nice dusting off the old kit. I'm definitely going to take him out. I probably will go out for a little bit of a winter session with him, I reckon, when it gets properly cold, see if we can catch a proper little winter fish on the old school rods. Maybe somewhere a bit local, maybe the Forgotten Pond. That'd be quite fitting to go up there and have a go with them. But anyway, it's been a wicked session. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, then please subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up, and until next time, get out there, enjoy your fishing, mix it up now and then, and try doing something a bit different, because it is good fun. And yeah, get out there and have a few. See you in the next video.